I should change screwdriver. This one not.
Out the upper lid.
Bring it.
From the old unit. The upper lid.
Take that off?
No. Upper lid, yeah.
Yeah, I can take it off.
Not you, I'm asking him.
Oh,
It's a special position of the shaft.
yes. That's what I was going to demonstrate. Okay, and in order to take this off, obviously, you can bring it down here, and as you see, here's your height controller, your paddles, baskets. In order to take that upper piece off here, as you can see here, now it's loose. Well, let's move this forward. This is your stage controller. This simply comes forward and bends down. There's hinges right here that are holding it. In order to take this off, it obviously needs to come up, but it doesn't come up very well like this. There's a procedure for doing that. It just simply, you take the height control right here, adjust it to neutral, put this all the way down, and just lift the front ones. You have to go up to the top there. It slides off. That's how it comes off. Cool?
Yeah.
Everybody grasp that? Any questions?
So how do you move it up and down?
Up and down. Yes, that's the brake assembly, so that slides it up and down. So you need to have this on neutral, and then like I said, lift the front ones upwards.
When we move it, it should be neutral.
It should be in the neutral. Bring it all the way down in the neutral position, and that'll allow, with the front ones up, that'll allow you a little bit of room so that you can get in here just enough. Slide it back on. Now, another thing here, and I'll point this out to everybody, and everybody will come over here and look when I spin it here. I'm going to spin this out here for you. On this side, look how I just put it back on. That's not the way that it goes back on. A lot of people make that mistake and do it, and everybody can come over here and take a look at this. It needs to come over the top.
Yeah.
Put it back on. Some people put this on here and then the holes don't line up and they sit there for
Yeah,
20
but
minutes.
the screws will not
trying.
fix.
The screws don't line up. It has to go over this.
Yeah.
So just something to bear in mind, showing you little helpful things that these are growing pains. These are all things that I've encountered in 15 years of doing this. So. Like that, it won't allow it to come off. You have to have the front ones up. And you have to be all the way down in neutral, otherwise you'll never have enough clearance.
Is this aluminum?
A little bit heavier. I think it's steel, not aluminum. Is it?
Aluminum.
Is aluminum? Okay. It's light enough, isn't it?
$2.
Yeah, maybe. Everything's got a money value. And again, this gives you access to everything that's on the unit. This is the
It's no
6300.
way to lose some steps in here, yes?
Pardon?
It's no way to lose some steps in the poly.
To lose the what in it?
Steps. I mean, one shaft rotates faster than another.
No, none of, they all spin the
Because
same.
we can lose like one gear in here.
Typically you shouldn't. The gear should be fine. If you start to lose anything, if it starts to get chewed up inside here, this should be replaced. Just because it's going to end up, what'll end up happening is it'll eventually end up causing a problem with the teeth on the belt, and the belt will get worn out. And again, this is where it comes down. I don't know how much chemical testing anybody does, and we do a lot of chemical testing here in the United States. As far as we do the mechanical, and then we also do the follow up with the chemical testing. If you start to get any teeth chewed up on the belt and or any problems with the gears themselves, that causes vibration on the unit. You'll feel it, a very slight vibration, and that will impact all of your chemical studies.
Yeah.
So again, that's any kind of teeth missing, anything starts to get chewed up inside here, it needs to be replaced.
Is this for adjusting the,
Yes,
the belt?
that's the idler wheel. Each one of these. Now, these are supposed to be self-lubricating. I don't know whoever came up with that term. These start to squeal over time, and I always found a little drop of 3-in-1 oil on them down inside there, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. This is for adjusting the belt, the main belt that goes around to everything else here. It's a Allen wrench underneath that holds it. It's a nut on top of it. It's a matter of loosening one side, loosening the other side, pushing it forward, back this way. Usually tightening it, you're pushing it this way. Tighten it back up and it should be good. Tension on it, that's about right. You need just the proper tension so that it's not going to jump and it's not going to cause any bouncing around and vibration. Another thing to look at, especially when you start to get a vibration issue on this, is to make sure that all of these are level with one another. You can lift it up to eyeball level and you can eyeball it all, or if you need to, you can actually get a ruler and lay a ruler across each one of them. From this one to this one, from that one to that one, just to see if they're level. They should all be the same level, because if any one of them's off from the other one, it's going to cause a vibration as the belt's going around. And the other point up here is with the motor being attached. And you have your idler tension right here. This being loosened and brought over this way can tighten it up a little bit. You can keep on pushing this over and pushing this over and pushing this over. When you get to the point where the two of these are touching each other, it's time to change the belt. People have a tendency to just keep tightening it, and you get to where they're this far apart. And if you get any kind of bouncing around in there, it's going to start wearing it out really quick and snap the belt. So once you get to the point where you get to within an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch in between there, change the belt out.
Is it something we do frequently to check the
Check the
how
belts?
tight is that?
Yeah, we check that. That's part of our preventive maintenance. If you look in the procedure, checking the belt
just
tension.
check. Not,
Checking and adjusting if needed.
okay.
Checking, adjusting, and lubricating. And as I said before, we typically use a high vacuum grease, a thin layer between my thumb and my finger with a pair of gloves on, and I'll run it over this as this is running and allow this to get lubed up with a little bit of vacuum grease. The reason we lube this, again, most belts don't need to be lubed. The belts in your car don't need to be lubed. But the belts on this is different than your car. This has 37 degrees temperature being around for 24 hours a day, and all that heat is rising and it's drying this belt out and making it nice and brittle. And over time, as you'll see when you out in the field, this one's nice and clean because it's in a laboratory environment, because we work on it all the time. But out in the field, when they use them all the time, and you come back out after 6 months, you'll find pieces of black all over the place because of the pieces. That's pieces of the belt breaking off. That's breaking off because the belt's getting brittle.
What about some other material, like the? I think that there are a few options of this. That it's transparent one with.
Well, we have it's a
silicone rubber or something.
Yeah, you can use any kind of dielectric film-based, lube if you want to. I mean,
The belt, there are different materials. This is from rubber and.
Oh yeah, you mean different material belt? You mean? Yeah, I mean we've.
Don't need to look them so much.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they went with this, again, I don't want to change the way the things are manufactured here. We went with this type of belt system, and that's matched up with the gears that we're using. Could we use something else? I don't want to just throw another belt on there without doing any studies on it. If we're going to change the belt consistency and make it a different type of product, then we'd have to sit here and actually QA it for a while. We wouldn't want to just throw one on and assume that it's going to work, because we could run into the same problem that we did before. But again,
you just lube this idlers, nothing else.
I lube the belt. I put a little bit of the vacuum grease on the belt and let it spin around. In fact, I'll demo it here for you in a second. And then, as far as the idler wheels, I usually drop one little drop of 3-in-1 oil on top of it as it's spinning, and that usually works its way down inside.
Also bearing, it's a PM pointing of lubing bearings.
You shouldn't have to. They're self-lubricating inside. They're sealed. You shouldn't have to lube the bearings that are inside.
I see them squeaky,
I've never had these squealing as much as I've
I
had
always
these
put some
squealing.
drops on the bearings, and then it helps.
The bearings you should use the grease, not the oil.
Yeah, they get dry. They get dry.
I've used oil on these.
And then change the bearing. It's
yeah.
$2.
It's not easy.
No, it's a little difficult changing those too.
Like the oil goes in and
You
then.
need the press.
And I'll show you guys how to do that. And another thing I wanted to point out is also the brake assembly, real quick, on these.